right, thanks for remaining with us on TVC Breakfast. We're still keeping tabs on one of our lead stories where a group of soldiers dismissed for various offences have been protesting peacefully to call government's attention to their plight.
Yeah, they are asking army authorities to pardon them and give them back their jobs. Now, more than 1,000 of them again marched the streets of Abuja on Tuesday, explaining to whoever cares to listen reasons why they should be pardoned.
The dismissed soldiers have been living in an uncompleted building in Mpape, a suburb of Abuja, since January.
All right, we're joined now by Colonel Zubair Ahmed, retired Colonel Zubair Ahmed of the Nigerian Army. Colonel, it's good to have you on right now. He's joining us from our Abuja studio. Now, give us the basic, the ideals. In a situation where soldiers are court-martialed for one offense or the other and they are dismissed, is it possible, is it within the ambit of the army to reconsider and reabsorb them into the army? Give us the ideals.
It will all depend on what kind of offenses and when the reviewing authority consider what they have been found guilty of and then tried and given various kind of punishments.
Okay, of course, we have heard that Mr. Buratai, the Chief of Army Staff, is looking at some of their individual cases, and of course we hope that we'll hear exactly what the conclusion would be. But are you concerned that some of the soldiers who are already asking for reinstatement, they're asking that government should temper justice with mercy and reabsorb them into the military? If the military does not do that, are you concerned that they could actually take up arms against the state?
My response to that is very definitive. You see, one, the Nigerian military or the armed forces of Nigeria is a voluntary force. It is not a conscripting force. So if you get into the army, there are rules and regulations, and you must not be coerced into joining it. You are motivated and you have the passion. And for that reason, if you already had been dismissed, and because you feel very bitter, and you think what you will do is to take up arms against the state, then I think you have something else coming for you. Whatever happens, the military is a well-established organization. They will not just see you, look at you on the face because of your name, because of where you come from, and then dismiss you. So there must have been a very detailed investigation. Boards are set up. Those that are to go for court-martial are court-martialed, and there are about 4 court-martials. Later in the program, I may explain what the court-martials are. And you are found guilty of this, you are given appropriate punishment.
Yeah. All right. When you talk about court-martial, a lot of people laymen may not necessarily understand the intricacies of what court-martial is. Can you pass us through the understanding of court-martial situation?
Court-martials are military courts that are designed to address cases of indiscipline, unruly behavior, and offenses against military, services. You have court-martial, you have what is called summary court-martial, you have what is called field court-martial, and you have general court-martial. Then presently you have special court-martial to dealing with, might be a reviewing of cases of the military, might be having some civilian element in it.
Okay, now
so in these court-martials, summary court-martial could be a service personnel, officer or soldier who must have run foul of, the given, offenses in the Armed Forces Act. So it is mostly in the field, and it is dealt with there and then. It means it doesn't have the large number of people who look into the case. You are seen to have committed an offense, there are witnesses, and then you are brought before a field court-martial that might contain maybe about 3 or 4 officers. That of general court-martial, you will need a judge advocate, a prosecutor, a defense counsel, and you have a chairman of the board, and you have other members, which might amount to about 5 or 7 members. And so this is that one that could give you the maximum punishment of death sentence.
Now, it's obvious that in the view of some of these dismissed soldiers who are asking for mercy, they actually feel that some of their offenses are not grievous enough to get them a total dismissal from the military. Now, what should the army be doing? I'm sure as a retired colonel, you may be privy to some of the offenses that they committed. What should the army be doing to ensure that these people don't turn totally off the mark, and we have another kind of Boko Haram on our hands?
Very nice. If in the first place, if the recruitment was right, and if the soldiers so found to have committed various offenses were properly enlisted and their profile was checked, they would not have any reason to recourse to taking up arms against anybody, because we have very detailed and very explicit, ways of dealing with people who had violated or gone against the army regulation and rules. Like I would say, most of the offenses are military in nature. Let me state it very clearly that a soldier is one individual, a crop of human beings that are subject to 2 laws: the civil law as it affects the country, and the military law. The military law was not from anywhere. It is an act derived from our constitution, and it has been tested. It has been there for years. So we should not look, because we're in a democratic setting, and then wish away the military discipline and military ethos of doing things. Like if mutiny, every soldier or every officer knows that if they go on a mutinous situation and you are found guilty to have been deeply involved, it is firing squad when you are found guilty. So this question of tamper justice with mercy or mercy on justice, I think we're not there, and we must be very careful. Like in some cases I've said, please do not domesticate your military. The military are a set organization, very fashioned, very organized. They have all it takes to take care of in discipline and when people are going above board.
All right, Colonel, did you think from what you just said now, these officers are officers who we understand went through a court-martial, and they understand all the offenses and the processes in the military. So coming out to plead for mercy and to be reabsorbed, is there a situation of them trying their luck, whether anything can be done when they originally know what the consequences actually should be?
If I get you right, I want to say this. You see, offenses in the military could be collective in nature. It could be an individual offense. But because these offenses were committed at different times in various units, and because of the number involved, does not have any place in the military administration to say they will come together either when they were on hold, they were either they were in their various cells awaiting confirmation, and now come together and sorting out lawyers to come and said, we now accept that what we did was wrong, we want to be pardoned. Pardoning is a form of condonation. If you condone an act, it meant therefore that you'll be ready for future to be used as a reference when other such offenses are done, for you to be asked for condonation.
Okay, but you talked about passion and discipline earlier. And I'm aware that some of the soldiers were actually mutineers because they had to fight the Boko Haram without being properly armed. As a matter of fact, some of them felt that the terrorists were better armed, with superior arms and all of that. Don't you think that these people were right to say, look, we're not going to the battlefront unarmed?
You see, we shouldn't be doing things wrongly and thinking that when we do things wrongly, we may at the end of the day, because of some smart people to come and put up a defense. One, like I said, you join the army voluntarily. You are told the do's and don'ts. You know that the army or the military is a very regimented organization. So, if and when I know what you are referring to, some time ago, before we got to understand, a governor from the states, one of the states, came to the former president and told him that the military were not as equipped as the enemy they are fighting. A lot of Nigerians say, no, how can you say that? So much money has been voted. But along the line, that's why it's always good to try to see two sides of a coin. Later on, we got to understand that so much billions of dollars was spent, but instead of buying the arms to fight, it was kind of ATM'd into personal pockets. And then when we get to know that, one, if the officers who were in charge of these troops were, they stand their kind of training, and they were not given the proper equipment to fight, they would have reported to the authority, we don't have the equipment to fight. And so we would need this and that, because you don't go into any battle without being equipped properly for that battle. So if for any reason it is at the nick of when going to battle, you now start knowing you don't have the adequate or correct. Anyway, in the army or in the military, no army in the world had sufficient or adequate equipment to take on the enemy. But in our own case, if it happened and something happened and we got to know later, it will be seen, those who are involved, what is the role they played. Did they complain? Did they bring it before the authority? And then with that, when they are being tried, it will be seen on that light, and everybody will be given the part of punishment as regards to how they got involved.
All right. Colonel Zubair Ahmed, retired, thank you very much for sharing your thought with us on this issue. Thank you very much.